Hello and welcome back. This is Don't Watch at Night, a spooky little podcast dedicated to Latin American and Spanish language horror. I'm your host, Valerie.
And I'm Veronica.
Okay, hold on. I do have to adjust some audio levels. Okay. All right, we're fine. All right, welcome back. Hey everybody. Hey Ron. What you doing?
Hello. Waking up.
Yeah, that's right. We're recording at what the hell was
I
that?
told you I was trying to put my phone on silent. But it
Okay.
must have had an update because I had to it was restarting.
Okay.
I'm silent now.
Okay, no, it's fine. It's just I'm having trouble. Like my audio levels are all wonky, so I heard that super loud, but I'm sure it
I
was
heard
fine.
it super loud.
Okay. All right. Anyway, yeah, you were just waking up. That's right. We're recording at 10 in the morning, so it's morning time in America.
Which on a work day I have to wake up at 5 a.m. so I like to sleep in on the weekends.
So this is a book club episode, which means we have a bunch of stuff up top before we even get to the book, including my drink pairing. But are there any other fun things that you wanted to share, Ron? Last night we did an Austin FC game, so we went to go watch the soccer people do the soccer things. It was fun. There was like no goals scored the entire game, so it kind of feels like a bit of a dud, but it was still fun to be there. We go and we stand in the general admission section, so that's the rowdier side of the stadium. So it was a good time. But that's the highlight of my weekend. Did you do anything fun?
This weekend, no. Last weekend we went and saw, because youngest son wanted to go see, I don't even know what it's called, that new Jurassic World Park movie.
Oh yeah, Rebirth.
Whatever it's called. It's actually better than I thought, so
It was fun.
it's pretty good. Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah, I didn't know very much about what it was going to be about going in, but that Jonathan Bailey, I like him.
Has he been in stuff before?
Yeah, he's Bridgerton dude.
I don't watch Bridgerton.
Okay, well he was also in Wicked. He was
Don't
in
watch Wicked. Have no
Okay.
interest in Wicked.
Okay.
No interest in Bridgerton. So
You don't like musicals?
I like musicals, but I just don't care for not every musical.
Truth be told, I haven't seen Wicked either, but not for not wanting to. We haven't gotten around to it. But the boys do want to see Wicked, like part 1 of Wicked now, because you saw the trailer for part 2 of Wicked at the beginning of the Rebirth film. So they're all into that, and they're like, yeah, we got to see the first one now. And I'm like, yeah, we do. Anyway, okay, well, we can get right into the drink pairing for this book. So we'll talk more about the book once we get to that segment. We did, for those of you unaware who haven't been listening to our episodes where we've mentioned it every episode, we read Jawbone by Mónica Ojeda. And so the drink pairing that we're doing for this movie, again, I'm not drinking because it's 10 in the morning, but at the time that you listen to this episode, when it comes out, hopefully you will have what you need to have this cocktail on hand when you listen. So we are drinking a dark and stormy, because adolescence is dark and stormy. Also because I chose this one because it incorporates rum. And for me, with the ebook at least, rum is referenced on page 296. I noted the page. So that's where you see the first mention of rum. So I figured, well, we'll go with that. So I'm going to share a little bit about it from liquor.com. I do not have a big long spiel today like I normally do. I have a little bit, but not nearly as long as I can go. So this is a highball. This is only the, I think, second highball that we've featured on the show. So, highball is quantities of liquor are not as, it's not a 1-for-1 with liquor and mixer. So this is a close cousin to the Moscow Mule. A Moscow Mule is vodka, ginger beer, and lime. This one incorporates rum instead of the vodka. So just brief history on it. Popular cocktail can be found all over the world. Its origin, like many drinks, is a bit hazy, though it's likely that rum and ginger beer were first combined by sailors who enjoyed the obvious benefits of rum and the stomach-settling qualities of ginger. And by the way, I am pulling all of this information from liqueur.com. We'll link that for you guys. A dark and stormy's direct lineage can be traced squarely to one island in the Atlantic Ocean. So Gosling's Black Seal is a rich, flavorful rum from Bermuda, where the rum's long history dates back to 1806. Gosling's Black Seal features notes of caramel, vanilla, and spice, and technically, this rum is the only rum that can be used in a dark and stormy. The brand Gosling's even went so far as to trademark the trademark the drink back in 1991. So any drink titled a dark and stormy must be made featuring their rum. In fact, they've even gone so far as to sue other beverage brands that have attempted to peddle their drink with their rum.
I did not know you could. What was it? Trademark drinks.
I guess. Yeah.
I get. Well, I guess it makes sense. I'm sure Coca-Cola, the formulas for Coke and Pepsi and all those drinks are trademarked. I just never thought about alcoholic drinks.
Yeah, like a cocktail specifically. I'm sure there's other instances of it.
Any bartender in the world can make a
right.
alcoholic drink.
So yeah, according to this, if you really want a full dark and stormy experience, you have to make it using Gosling's rum. And I did check. Places like Total Wine carry it. It's reasonably priced, so it's very accessible. So you can get this rum. I have never tried it. And I've never had a dark and stormy either, full disclosure. So at the time of this recording, I'm not drinking one right now. So I will try it. And so at the time that this episode posts, I will have had a dark and stormy by then, and I'll be able to report on my findings. But anyway, a dark and stormy is, like I said, rum, ginger beer, and fresh lime juice. So the article does specifically note that while you can use ginger ale as a substitute, it is not an equivalent to ginger beer. Duh, they're different. They taste different. So just know that. Really should go for a ginger beer if you make this drink. And then it also says the lime juice is optional. We will incorporate that in our recipe. So, but if you were to be drinking in Bermuda, say you're ever vacationing in Bermuda and you order a dark and stormy, you're likely to be served it with just the rum and the ginger beer, and you might get a lime wedge to garnish. And so you could squeeze that into your drink at your own discretion. So just running through the ingredients really quick, and then we'll be done. Because this is a highball, there's no shaking involved. It's just 2 ounces of Gosling's Black Seal rum, half an ounce lime juice freshly squeezed, and then ginger beer to top. And so you're going to probably top that at about 5 ounces worth of ginger beer. So, and then you garnish with a lime wheel. So you add all of that into your tall glass, fill it with ice, and boom, you're done. That's your highball drink. So enjoy.
So what is a highball drink again?
A highball it's just going to be, so like if a cocktail is 50-50 of, alcohol paired with your mixings, then a highball is like 30-70. So it's just the equivalent of the amount of mixer is greater than the amount of alcohol. It's lower ABV than like a cocktail. So it's very, you can have a highball and be fine, versus for some people, one cocktail and you're under the table. So so a highball is a more probably a more appropriate beverage for like a brunch. Or
for me,
or honestly us when we're camping. Maybe we should be drinking more highballs at camping than cocktails. So yeah, that's the dark and stormy, which I thought would go well for this book. Anyway, yeah. So I guess we can get right into the book. Did you have any questions? Any other questions about the beverage?
No, I do not.
No. Okay. Have you ever tried rum?
I think once Rosie, our cousin Rosie, when we were down in Harlingen. Well, I don't remember what it was called, but I'm pretty sure she said it had rum.
Yeah. And truthfully, I have not had a ton of experience with rums. I don't, certainly not. And I don't even know. I think Gosling's is a dark rum. I mean, there's like white rums, there's dark rums. I have very little experience with rum in general. So I think what our cousin has used, hold on, I'm going to look it up real quick because it's going to bug me if I don't. Yeah, I think what she does is considered a white rum. It's Bacardi, right? what
Yeah.
she likes. Yeah. So I think that's considered a white rum. I don't know. And then I let me just look it up because it's gonna bother me if I don't. Goslings is, I'm guessing it's a dark rum. Yeah, it looks dark anyway. So I don't know. I could be wrong. Is it a dark rum?
This eye's gonna bug me this whole time.
Yes, Goslings is a dark rum. So yeah, I I haven't really, other than the Bacardi, I haven't really. Well, that's not true. I have tried other dark rums in things. It's not like I've never had them, but I just don't have a ton of experience with them. So anyway, we can get into the book. Ron, do you want to? Hold on. Let me see if I can pass you this link in the chat. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to attempt to do it. Where is the chat? Do we not have? Oh, we do have a chat. Okay. Nope, I can't. Not now. Studio chat. Ron, I'm going to paste this in the studio chat. Let me know if you see it. Off to the side, do you see the chat button?
Oh, wait, hold on. Where did it go? Okay. Link.
It's raining outside. Again. Okay, do you see our book club page?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want, just to change it up, do you want to be the one to sort of talk, like intro our book and read that little blurb about it?
Okay.
Because
What
I
year did this
usually
come out?
I have no idea. Aren't you glad we're not live streaming?
2018.
This would be considered like dead air.
2018.
Okay. So I'll let you intro it and read the blurb because I feel like I always do it, and I want us to do equal book stuff. Ooh, it's pouring outside now.
It's not raining here yet.
I should have picked up the dog's poop. Definitely not putting that in the episode. Hey, you know what? I forget that this is a video episode, and I do no editing on the video episodes. So,
Well,
Patreon folks, we're talking about poop.
All right. Okay. But I need to make this window go away. I don't know.
But for the podcast, like the episode that airs on podcast platforms, we will edit out the poop. It's fine.
All right. For this book club episode, we read Jawbone by Mónica Ojeda. She's an Ecuadorian writer. And this book was published in 2018, January of 2018. So just reading I don't know if they call it the little blurb that's always on the back of the book. Fernanda and Annalise are so close they are practically sisters, a double image, inseparable. So how does Fernanda end up bound on the floor of a deserted cabin held hostage by one of her teachers and estranged from Annalise? When Fernanda, Annalise, and their friends from the Delta Bilingual Academy convene after school, Annalise leads them in thrilling but increasingly dangerous rituals to a rhinestoned, Dior-scented drag queen god of her own invention. Even more perilous is the secret Annalise and Fernanda share, rooted in a dare in which violence meets love. Meanwhile, their literature teacher, Miss Clara, who is obsessed with imitating her dead mother, struggles to preserve her deteriorating sanity. Each day, she edges nearer to a total break with reality. Interweaving pop culture references and horror concepts drawn from Herman Melville, H.P. Lovecraft, and anonymous creepypastas, Jawbone is an ominous, multivocal novel that explores the terror inherent in the pure potentiality of adolescence and the fine line between desire and fear.
What was that face about?
Like, what is a creepypasta?
A creepypasta is I
forgot to Google it.
I know what they are. I've never gotten into them, but creepypastas are like, you know Slender Man, right? Like, you've heard of Slender Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like they're little internet horror mini tales or it's kind of like, I guess you could say it's kind of like folklore, but folklore for the internet age. So, people will publish creepypastas.
But where does the name creepypasta come from?
That I want to say even the book talks about, or the translator's note at the end of the book talks about it perhaps, but hold on, I'll
I was listening to the audiobook, so
it's a play on the word copy pasta, which references the way these stories are often copied and pasted across online platforms. So it's
pasta. Okay.
It refers to short user-generated horror stories that kind of go viral on the internet and only live kind of really on the internet. So
Okay, but how is that different from just fan fiction?
they're called creepypasta. I don't know because of what I just told you. It's a mashup of the word copy and paste. So it's like these stories travel along on the internet because people copy and like wherever the story originated on the internet, they copy and paste it, and it travels kind of like a game of telephone, but on the internet. So it's just
Hmm.
that's what they call it, creepypastas. They've been around for a long, long time. But anyway, yeah, it's sort of an example of how this book is just such a culmination of pop culture references, like you said in the back of the book cover bit. So anyway, yeah, did you do the audiobook?
I did,
Yeah, and I did the ebook.
because I was running out of time. Right? Now
Well,
with my long commute back to work, and actually Friday I was doing home visits, so I was like
doing
really just in the car all day. So
all
that's how I
day.
managed to knock it out in 2 days. And I
Yeah,
was listening to it at anywhere from 1.5 speed to 3 speed, 3 times speed.
3 speed. I've never exceeded 2 speed.
That was mostly for the chapter. What's her name? Where
And
Clara is reading the essay that Annalise wrote. And then I was
the
like,
S.
I just can't listen to this, and I just sped it up to get through it as fast as possible.
It was interesting, but yeah, it that was it was very long in the ebook. It was like 30 pages.
That
So
was a long chapter, and I was like, you know what? I'm tired of her. Let me speed.
well, so let me eh, let me first say I definitely got tired of Annalise as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Were you saying like you got tired of her as a character, like tired of listening to Annalise?
Oh, listen, by chapter 2, in fact, I was going to text you. By chapter 2, I was going to text you. I already can't stand any of these people.
So not a fan of the book then.
Well, I mean, she's a talented writer for sure. Now, number one, and I've probably said this before, I just do not enjoy reading about adolescents. Like
Okay.
teenage characters, not my thing.
Okay.
So
No,
that was
no,
going to be
I don't think
strike
that
one.
had come up yet on the show
Okay.
before. So that's new information for me. So you do not enjoy reading about adolescents.
No, that's why I totally steer away from like young adult stories. Like I have a lot of reader friends that do read and enjoy young adult novels, stories, but I don't even once in a while I'll think, okay, well maybe I'll like this one, and then I read it, I'm like, nope. Because they're just annoying. And I know they're going through normal, although I think in this book I wouldn't, well, I don't want to say it's abnormal, but not the typical experience that normal adolescents go through, these girls in this book, right? I hope not
Mhm.
anyway.
Uh-huh.
I hope normal teenage girls aren't out there doing all these things, but, um, just usually the normal things that young adults are dealing with in those stories that's normal for that stage of life.
Veronica's like, I just don't care.
I'm too far way past that stage to
to
empathize.
to
They
care
annoy
about.
me. Yeah, I just don't care. I do not
Veronica,
care.
you were a teenager too once.
Yeah, and I do not care. Like even in real life, like have you ever been like out in public, like at a movie or something where there's like and where there's teenagers, and
Hmm.
especially it seems to be teenage girls, and you're just listening to them talk, and you're just like, it's so banal. It's so like I just want to drive an ice pick through my eye rather than listen to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just don't enjoy reading that age group. So that was, she's a talented writer, no doubt. She can put together a well constructed sentence, and she can certainly evoke feelings and
And she's a poet.
visuals
Yeah. Yeah.
visuals with those words. Yeah. So she's written poetry, so she definitely has the skill. I For me personally, just didn't care
The
for
story didn't the
this age
story
group. Yeah.
didn't resonate with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will tell you, like, it took a while to get into this book, and I attribute that more to just I think I'm just suffering some brain fatigue right now. So it wasn't necessarily that the story wasn't pulling me in. It was or that, the story itself wasn't captivating. I mean, hello, we open with this girl who's been kidnapped and is tied to a chair. That's a very strong opening, but it took me a while to get into this book for my own personal reasons. But then once I did, I definitely like I found Clara to be very compelling. Like I wanted I was very invested in, I guess, her story more so than I think I was the teenagers, and maybe kind of subconsciously because maybe on some level I agree with you that I just like, it's not that I don't care. It's not that like their
Oh, I don't
journey,
care.
it's not that the journey doesn't matter to me, but it's also just like the journey is like, yeah, like it's just like it's going down paths that I myself wouldn't go down, like at a certain point when they're kind of like, it's one thing, they're going to this abandoned building, they're engaging in like horror storytelling and
Hmm.
the stuff that doesn't feel so out of the realm of possible for me as a teen to have done. But then it goes into dangerous dares and hurting each other and all of that stuff. And I'm just like,
Licking
it,
someone else's menstrual blood. I mean,
it's just like,
hello.
why are we doing this? Like, just ladies,
And
just
that's
say
the
no.
thing. And I know that, things, it's like that movie. What was that series of movies in the 80s? And I don't know, you may not even remember, Valerie. What was it called? What were they called? It was guys. Jackass, the movie?
that
Basically, the
wasn't
whole,
that wasn't the 80s, that was like the early aughts.
what are aughts?
2000s, Veronica, the 2000s.
Well, whatever. The whole basis of those movies is like guys doing stupid things, like stupid
Yes, yes, yes.
stunts, like dangerous stunts. And so, but they're doing it for money. I don't know why these girls were doing it the whole time when they're just like the things are escalating. And I'm like, why does nobody just say, dude, you're nuts, I'm out? I mean,
Yeah.
and again, maybe that's just me at my age. I'm too far past that stage in life where it's hard for me to comprehend why you wouldn't step away from that, why you wouldn't say, this is crossing lines and this is stupid. Just flat
Yeah.
out, this is stupid.
So, I mean, I guess like it kind of touches on like the story of Slender Man. I don't know actually the story of Slender Man. I've never bothered to look into it, but I do know like, and she references it in that long essay. Annalise
Hmm.
does. There was a tragic um actual event that took place where these teenage girls who were like 14, maybe not older than 15, 14, they were young, who on the stupid virility of Slenderman and their belief in Slenderman, they lured their friend, their mutual friend, into the woods and killed her because of this stupid creepy pasta. And so um, that part of the book feels real, based off of these things that do happen. You do have kids that just fall into the stupid cult persona of some of these stories. And in this case, it's Annalise. Annalise is kind of the center of all, she's the center that all of these friends orbit around. And so even though it's completely foreign to us and it doesn't make sense, I do kind of I do get how that happens in this story because it happens in real life, unfortunately, where you have these kids that just can't say no and just are they fall into the magneticism of their friends. Annalise in this case. There who one of the reviews that we've linked for you guys does reference how it feels kind of Lord of the Flies in that way. You've got these young kids who just their behavior just devolves and continues to devolve into more and more reckless, dangerous, stupid crap. And so but yeah, it's extreme. It's Would you say that this was like, because there's a bunch of reviews that refer to it as like disturbing, creepy, harrowing? Are those words you would use?
Like, what were
I
they finding disturbing? I
I
find Annalise disturbing because I think
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
like a sociopath, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but but like the things that they actually did, I thought were either gross or just stupid.
Yeah.
So
It wasn't
I found it more annoying. I was more annoyed. That was my overriding emotion reading this book. It wasn't like shock. Um, Even with the like Annalise's and possibly and Fernanda's, affinity for mixing pleasure and pain,
Mhm.
S&M, whatever you want to call it. Because one of my favorite, fantasy trilogies that I've ever read dealt with a main character who 100%, equated pleasure and pain. And there
Hmm.
was far more, what's the word? Not graphic, but yeah, well, yeah, far more graphic things depicted in that book than was in this book.
Yeah,
So that
I
didn't
didn't feel
even
it
really
was
phase
like,
me. Yeah, it
yeah, I
wasn't
didn't
like
feel it was crazy graphic or hard to get through.
yeah.
So
Um, but so yeah, I didn't really find it disturbing or shocking. It just my overriding emotion was just annoyance.
um what did you think of Clara, the teacher? Like, I know this is going to sound crazy because I know she is the villain by the end of the book, but like there's a tragedy to her and all that she went through and y-
Yeah, I mean, I felt for
I want
her
to see I felt bad, like I've had empathy for her. Which is weird to say, but it's true.
felt a little bad for her, but then her her obsession or whatever fixation with her mother was
Mhm.
just so weird to me that it was hard for me to fully empathize with her, especially I mean, I definitely feel bad that that happened to her at her previous school where those two students broke into her home to steal what was it, test answers or something?
Test answers.
And
And then
then
in like
held her
and then in the like later chapters, we get the full breadth of what they did to her, and it's horrific. So, where they like she goes in the book goes into detail as to like what they put her through. So far beyond just like tying her up and taunting her. But yeah, but yeah, you were saying she was just uh, her bizarre obsession with her mother. Yeah,
yeah, and
was
I don't know if that was like the author's metaphorical way of saying that like basically we all become our mothers and in Clara's case she was literally, well, not literally because she couldn't be her mother, but was more an outwardly visual representation of
hmm
becoming her mother to the point of like adjusting her posture so that she had the same curvature in her spine and dressing like her mother and going into the same profession as her mother. um, but I don't really agree with that thought that we all become our mothers. I
yeah.
don't think that's true.
So the Locust Mag review by Ian Mond, he drew comparisons, which honestly, until I read the review, that didn't come up for me. But he drew comparisons to Clara and Norman Bates. The
Mm,
the obsessiveness with the mother and just the tragedy of those two characters. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was like, yeah, she is kind of a Norman Bates character, I suppose. So yeah. Um, and that review also references stories like Stephen King's Carrie, where we're talking about again adolescence and the dawning of female sexuality, and he as something that's terrifying and dangerous, and so the comparisons to with this story as well. Um, were there any?
one point that I did find interesting, which I had never really considered, and it was in that um, essay that Annalise wrote for Clara to read, where she mentions that she read somewhere
Mhm.
that because they attend an all girls school, so there are no boys. So that point that she made that, um, and I don't know, I don't remember because I was listening at it at a pretty fast speed, but I don't know if she was referencing a study or if she just read it somewhere where the theory that in the absence of, because when you have boys and girls mixed together, most of these, like, like those Jackass movies, it would mostly be the boys kind of engaging in certain roles and certain behaviors in the classroom.
Mhm.
And in the absence of that, girls will tend to fill in those roles.
Yes.
So I thought that was an interesting point that I had not thought about.
What I thought was interesting about that also was, talking about girls will fill in those roles, but also the way that the girls will go about it. So like the girls will, I think I'm paraphrasing, but the girl, like there will be like the ringleader, causing the
Hmm.
mischief. And then the girls will kind of amplify her and lift her and rally, behind her and lift her up or whatever, but just sort of rather than in the instance where it's boys causing the mischief, the girls will typically pivot and
Counterbalance that.
counterbalance that, versus when it's girls all together, the girls will just kind of like hive mentality. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure I'm describing it correctly, but they'll hive.
They'll hide.
Video people, they'll hive for people listening. I'm making a hive, whatever. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I thought that was interesting too, and I had never really stopped to think about it that way. I mean, I've never been in an all girls school, so
Yeah, me either.
yeah.
I have to ask Robert because he went to an all boys Catholic high school.
Yeah, in a
Well,
situation where it's
yeah.
all boys, how does it happen? You know.
Well, Robert was kind of a troublemaker when he was in high school.
So like there are definitely things I want to pull from reviews we read later. I want to, just for perspective, one of the reviews written by Gabino Iglesias is worth talking about too. But I made my own notes as I was reading. So there was a certain point in the book, Ron, where I felt so strongly that we were going to come to realize that Annalise was really just a facet of Fernand, that they were one and the same, that it was going to be kind of like Fight Club, narrative reveal, like Tyler Durden. And Brad Pitt was Tyler Durden, right? And then who was
I never saw Fight Club.
You never saw Fight Club?
No, so I can't help you. You're on your own.
Well, that's dumb. It's a good movie, but I can't have this conversation with you then because you don't know what the big reveal is in Fight Club. Anyway, that's what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be.
It would have been a cool twist. I'm now kind of disappointed that it didn't happen that way.
A Fight Club situation. And then I wanted to ask you, in the essay where Annalise talks about her, I don't want to say philosophy, but presents her case about white horror and what that is. What did you think of that? The way that they describe the white age being, I guess, like adolescence, and white horror, and the color white even being like the silence of horror, and I guess in horror stories or in horror movies, when you see the color white, it's like a preface for something bad that's going to occur. What did you think of that?
Well, I was listening to this really fast, so I don't know that all of that sank in.
Well, I'm so glad to have you. You bring so much to this conversation.
I think the idea that, white as a color is open to, you can add anything to it and make it something different, add another shade and it becomes something different. So it's kind of this open vessel, basically, that's just open to whatever it comes in contact with, and it can become something different. And that adolescence is essentially that. It's the possibilities are endless, and they can go in any one of a million different directions, depending on what's fed into it. So maybe that's even touches on the nature versus nurture argument of garbage in, garbage out, good in, good out. So it's an interesting idea.
Yeah. And I had never really considered that with the color white before, because and I also didn't remember, because again, I read this through ebook, and for me the disadvantage of ebook, with a actual physical book in my hands, I can go back and reread sections and really digest something as much as I need to process it. And with an ebook, I can't do that as easily, and so I had forgotten that, I guess, elsewhere earlier in the story, they had kind of already explained the white age and white horror. So, or they had explained it in a way that the first time I read it, it did not sink in. And then when one of the reviews I read referenced an earlier section where they talk about white horror, I was like, oh yeah, that does explain it. And I just glossed over that. So my understanding of the white horror didn't come until that essay chapter where she lays out the case. And I was like, oh, okay. Because prior to that, I was just like, what's this obsession with white as a color? Why the white God? Why the white age? She talks about, this was a quote. Annalise says this to Clara, the white age within your jaws. So I was just like, what is that about? And so then when we get to that chapter, I understood it better. But I also came to realize that she'd kind of been laying out that definition all throughout the book, and I wasn't picking up on it.
Well, definitely same limitation, probably even more so with audiobook, because at least with an ebook you could page back, or
Yeah,
well, I don't
yeah.
know if you're borrowing an audiobook, I mean an ebook, I don't know if it do they let you like highlight
They let
can
you highlight, but I don't know what
and
good that does.
bookmarks
They don't.
so you can
I don't
go
know what
back
good
to your
it does me
bookmarks.
though, because it's like once I return I, I,
That's
that's my
true.
inexperience with ebooks. I don't know like what that does for me.
That's true.
I
Well,
tried to
even in
screenshot the passage, and I guess because it's a rental through Hoopla, it
it
wouldn't
won't
let
let
me
you.
screenshot that.
Uh,
So I was just like,
well,
well,
definitely as an audiobook, that's even more the case where you can't go back
y-
and
yeah.
listen. What I wasn't clear on, again, because I was listening to this at that particular chapter at the highest speed that I could
Hmm.
tolerate. So maybe you can explain it to me, Valerie. When she was differentiating between white horror and cosmic horror.
Yeah, I hold on. There's a review that sums it up better, because I would take too long going through all of like thumbing through trying to find the chapter where she talks about that. Let me just see if I can
Okay, well, while you're
quickly.
looking,
Yeah, yeah,
I also wanted to see, like when I was reading the synopsis for this book at the start of the episode,
yeah. Hmm.
what did it the part where they're saying even more perilous is the secret Annalise and Fernanda share. And when I was reading that, because I that was the first time reading the synopsis, because much like movies,
Hmm.
I go into these books blind. I don't read what it's about. In fact, because of the title, I kept asking Valerie, "Is this going to be about cannibalism? Cannibalism? Because if it is, I don't want to read it." But it wasn't that. But what was the perilous secret? Was it this that they were kind of in a
That I interpreted.
lesbian
No,
relationship, or
well, no, I interpreted that it wasn't just that. It was just the fact that they had taken their relationship to this place of like Annalise asking Fernanda to inflict pain on her, like repeatedly, over and over and over, with the biting. That's what I interpret. Like that's the big reveal, because the whole buildup of the book is like, well, what are they doing? What did she ask her to do to her? Like what da 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 da. And so then finally, when it's revealed what she's that's the reveal. That's what it is. So I'm assuming that's the perilous secret, is because not only would it not be understood by anyone in their friend circle or parent circle, but it would also be like strongly objected to and denounced. And so I guess that to them at that age, it feels perilous. It feels, you know, um, I'm trying to find
okay.
basically,
I found it a little anticlimactic then. I was like,
okay.
that's it.
um, Yeah, like because I do remember when Annalise shows the photo to those boys, and the boys are just like horrified at what they're looking at. They can't even make sense of what they're looking at. And then when you come to find out what it is, it's like, well, you can't tell those are. I'm just confused on why they were so horrified by a picture of bites. But then again, I don't know what they look like. They must look truly horrific. If
Yeah. Well,
okay,
she was drawing blood, I'm sure, but
I can't find it, but I think like from my memory, the way that she makes the distinction between cosmic horror and white horror is that white horror encompasses things that cannot be known. Like I wish I could find. I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to be able to find it in a quick way. Um, are there other things that you want to talk about while I continue scanning?
well, if there are any of our listeners that are that were able to absorb that difference
I
better.
mean, I remember reading about it. It's just like if I were to go in and look at the book,
I do
um,
just have a question, just uh, because the whole book, because I couldn't stand Clara at all. Like, I mean, I didn't really like anybody, but I really, really couldn't stand her, and so I definitely wanted her
wait, Clara or
to.
Annalise?
Annalise, sorry, did I say Clara?
Yeah, you said
Okay,
Clara.
I really, really Annalise, really, really couldn't stand her, and so the whole book I kept waiting. I was like, okay, I hope I hope there's a moment of comeuppance. I hope
Yes.
she gets the
Yes.
day that she deserves.
Right.
Did I hear correctly that she just died in an earthquake?
No, no. So, nothing happens to Annalise. That's the injustice of the ending of this book. Is just like no. As you're approaching the ending, and Clara has fully left the plane of reality, and is just ranting and raving in madness, and honestly about to kill Fernanda. As far as we know, Fernanda is the one who's remembering. She's the trauma of what she's experiencing in that moment. She's remembering back to a time, an earlier time, where one day there was an earthquake. They live in a region where earthquakes are very common because of something with the volcanoes. And so there was an earthquake, and she was just remembering. She's like, I should have died that day. That would, she was remembering a moment where she looked at her friend Annalise. They laughed in the middle of this scary as hell moment when everyone else is freaking out. They looked at each other and they laughed and they ran together towards safety or whatever. And she's just saying, I wish I would have died then. I wish I would have died in that moment. That would have been a better ending than what's about to happen. And so, no, because Annalise is the one who unleashes Clara on her. And so
Mhm.
all throughout the book, I was just like, Annalise is just really, uh, I didn't, I didn't start to think of her as freaking evil and manipulative till we get to those later sections of the book, when you realize how she's manipulating Clara and kind of turning Clara just fully into just sending her into the rage that she sends her into.
Mhm.
Um, all because Fernanda finally told her, hey, I don't want to do this anymore and I'm done. And so,
Mhm.
Annalise looks at this, considers that a betrayal. And so she goes on this. That's when I was just like, man, I wanted her to get comeuppance too, and it doesn't happen. And I was very disappointed in that.
Yeah. And that might be another reason why I didn't care for the book, story-wise, not from a writing perspective. Again, I think the writer is extremely talented and, definitely skilled. Um, it's just this particular plot did not,
Yeah. I mean,
because it didn't have, and I don't even expect necessarily 100% satisfactory endings from horror.
yeah,
Anything
no,
in the horror genre, whether it's a movie or, because just by the nature of the genre, bad things happen, and there's no, when someone's dead, you can't undo that.
right, right. Yeah.
But this just really, I think of all the books we've read so far, like this ending is the most unsatisfactory to me. Like,
It it was well, it's very tragic and terrible, because you're just
mhm,
like, she didn't do this. She didn't Fernanda, she didn't
yeah,
do this. She didn't deserve this. We don't even know what's going to happen to her. Like, we don't know. It's just Clara going on a rant, and the final, and
I
and
got
she's continuing to say, like, let's unbirth ourselves. Let's unbirth ourselves. And I was like, what does that mean? How are we unbirthing ourselves?
I took that to mean that she's gonna kill Fernanda, and then she's gonna kill herself,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
I
she's
mean,
just gonna end. Yeah,
but I guess what I was getting stuck on is like, but how is she going to do it? I was just like, what is she going to shoot her? Is she going to eat her? Like, what's going to happen?
sounded
I
like
wanted
she
to
was just
know.
gonna shoot her.
The ending, I'm trying to find it. The ending of that, the last thing she says, welcome to the volcanic jaws of my house. Let us dive in. Actually, that whole paragraph. You know that girls who dream too much end up sick in the head, but now you're going to learn something important. Be happy. This is the color of fear. Milk white, death white, God's snowy skull. Welcome to the volcanic jaws of my house. Let us dive in. So, yeah, it's one of those books where it's like it ends and you're just like, what? Like,
Mhm.
no, I'm so invested. Like, at this point, I am invested. It took me a while to get invested, but I did get invested. And then you're just ending it. Now you're just walking away from me, Ojeda, Monica Ojeda. I can't find the specifically where they talk about cosmic horror and white horror, but that we'd have linked that stuff for you guys, so you will be able to go through. And I encourage you to read those reviews. They are mostly positive. There is one that seems slightly less positive, but yeah, I did also look through a number of comments from Good Read It's people,
Goodreads.
good
Hmm.
reads, and it's a good healthy mix of people who if you love it, you either really love it, or if you hate it, you really hate it. And I didn't I didn't hate it by any means. I don't know that I would have read this book if not for us picking it for this particular show. So
Oh, I definitely would not have read it.
I could see an instance where I may have put this one down and not picked it up again. Like, I don't want to say DNF'd it, but essentially, yeah, I might have DNF'd it just because it took a while to pull me in personally. But it was one of those books where once it did pull me in, I was glad I stuck with it until we get to the ending, and then I was just like, damn it.
Mm. Yeah, because
So
Annalise is not even going to feel guilty
no, no.
for
I mean,
causing.
you would hope so, but I just don't think I don't think she will, because I think she sees this as the logical thing that needed to happen because she was betrayed, or
She's
because
a sociopath.
the white god was betrayed. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if she sees herself as the white god or what,
She's a
but
sociopath. I definitely would not have ever even picked this up because I would have read the blurb at the bookstore and seen that, oh, this is about high school girls. Nope, done. Put it
put
down.
it down. Put it
Like
down.
immediately. I wouldn't have even finished reading it. I would have gotten to the part where it says friends from the Delta Bilingual Academy. And I've been, nope, done.
Um,
What did you think of the chapters where Fernanda is because we only see, or at least here in the audiobook, I only heard the one-sided in her therapy sessions. Like it was just always her
what
side
did
because
what did I think of that? I liked it. I mean, it was
Mhm.
a part of it that reminded me a little bit of Charlie Brown, but I
Yeah,
but I
right.
liked it. And it's one of those things where I think there was one particular chapter that made me feel this way, and I don't know why, but towards the end of the book of her talking to the therapist, I started to wonder, like, is this real? Like, is there a therapist, or is she just having these ruminations and conversations in her head? Um, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting decision. Probably just meant to emphasize in those moments that it's like it really is just not critical that we know what the adults in this
Hmm.
story think or say. As a matter of fact, other than Clara, there aren't really we don't really get
Mm-mm.
any adult perspectives in this book at all. It's all, the young girls. So
And
it,
Clara is so damaged herself that that
yeah, she's almost childlike too, like
hmm
just trapped in a certain state of being and thinking. So, so yeah, I thought that was
definitely.
interesting.
Yeah, they're interesting chapters because they gave us a little more insight into Fernanda, that mm, fleshed her out a little bit more in a way that like Annalise certainly wasn't, or for sure any of the other girls. So Fernanda and Clara are the two who's get windows into their psyche, so to
yeah,
speak.
yeah,
Which makes sense because they're the two that
that's
kick
true.
off the book.
And we don't really get a window into any of Annalise's psyche until that essay chapter, which is just and the style of writing, and that's mentioned in the reviews. That's mentioned in the book too. Clara, in the subsequent chapter, Clara says, she was alarmed, honestly, just by the style of writing and how adult Annalise comes across, and and to the point where it's just like I think that's where I got the sense that, oh, Annalise is, like you said, she's sociopathic, because like she hasn't been putting out all of this energy throughout the story, and then you get this chapter where it's really coming from her POV, her voice, and her voice is just um scary.
Yeah.
Her voice is just scary. Her thoughts are scary, and the way she presents them is alarming. So yeah, I think that was a chapter where I was like, oh, she's crazy. So did you get, because towards the end we do get that brief little chapter that takes us back in time to when they were 8, and they're swimming, and Annalise, again, this is the start of her getting Fernanda to commit stupid dares. And so she gets her to like go with her over to where the adults swim, conveniently abandons Fernanda at a certain point so that Fernanda is the one who gets caught and gets in trouble. But that's also where we learn. Did you hear this correctly? Or I wasn't sure that I understood when I read it, because I read it and had to move on, swipe to the next page. But did Annalise's mother get after her once and bite her?
I don't recall hearing that.
Well, I mean, she doesn't say it, but the writing kind of alludes to that. And so I thought, oh, is that where her fixation with mothers eating their daughters and all of that stems from that childhood trauma? And then she kind of, that trauma morphs itself into this, desire later on that she wants to experience with Fernanda. That's kind of where I thought that chapter was leading us to, is kind of showing us that triggering event in Annalise's life where her mother, I'm gonna go find it now. I don't know how to, with ebooks, I don't know how do I get to the table of contents so that I can access the chapter faster. But yeah, it wasn't like she comes right out and said my mother bit me, but it was like something in the writing was making me think that that's what happened. I don't know.
I don't recall that Annalise's mother bit her.
Yeah, well, I mean, Annalise's mother was terrible to her, and
did we actually see that, or was that just what Annalisa reported? Because I would not consider Annalise a reliable historian.
Well, yeah, Fernanda also. Fernanda,
that may have been her, because she's super manipulative. That may have been her just. It might have been something slight that her mother did that, the same with Fernanda, that she considers this humongous betrayal to her. And so I wouldn't even consider anything that comes out of that girl's mouth as even remotely grounded in truth.
Okay, hold on. Well, I don't know. And like a lot of it was relayed to us through Fernanda. Is it that it was real because Fernanda is the one saying it, or did Fernanda just believe Annalise because Annalise was her best friend? Yeah, who's
I think
to
it was
say?
that.
Yeah,
she just believed Annalise and Annalise lies. So,
well, I mean, I think for the purposes of this story, it's more interesting if we choose to believe that Annalise did experience some of her own trauma through her own mother and through these things, because otherwise, what's the triggering event that makes her sociopathic? Like, I don't know.
Okay, and then I guess I don't think people are made I think sociopaths are just, they're born missing that whatever gene or component in us that makes us capable of empathy and sympathy, compassion, all those things. They're just devoid of that. I don't necessarily think there's an event or a trauma that makes you become sociopathic. I think you're just born lacking certain things.
Well, it's in that chapter. It's chapter 30 in the ebook anyway, where Annalise is also like, we're getting in between what's happening. We're also getting this story of the Little Mermaid that she's telling. But see, if I had a book, if I had like the physical copy, all of these would be tabbed. I'd be able to go to it. I'd be able to see it, but I don't, because I'm with an ebook and I don't know how to get to things that you highlight. I don't know if anybody, when Patreon people, when you watch this episode, this meandering episode, tell us if that's if that's sort of what you intuited from that chapter also, because there was just something in the writing that made me feel like, did her mom get mad at her? And because she didn't have anything else around her, she didn't have anything to hit Annalise with, she just bit her? I don't know. And when I intuited that, I thought, okay, well, I guess that would make sense on why she's obsessed with like this mothers eating daughters thing, and why she maybe has twisted that trauma in her mind into something that she wants to purify and beautify with her friend. So I don't know. Anyway, in any case, were there any other personal thoughts that you had about let me see. I will say this, because like Clara, we get a lot of, like I said, I found Clara actually to be the most compelling character for me, probably because she was the only adult in the story, and I was just really invested in wanting to understand I was really fascinated with her condition, you know, her anxiety, her severe anxiety, her post-traumatic stress, her obsessive compulsiveness, you know, it just was really all interesting to me. And so we because out of all of them, she's the one whose backstory we're getting the most throughout the course of the book. She's the one that I had empathy for the most. And so then when even though I understand how Annalise manipulates her and gets her to believe that Fernanda was essentially traumatizing her and sneaking into her house and doing all of these things to mess with her, I can see why that would drive her over the edge. But I wanted to see that more in the writing. And I feel like we just go from Annalise drops that nugget in Clara's brain to, you know, Clara kidnaps Fernanda and goes fully away
Mhm.
mentally. And so
Mhm.
I guess I just wanted the descent into madness to be late. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess it was laid out in the writing. Looking back on it now, it was all there. It's just it didn't feel like it was because I wasn't in.
Well, we didn't get that process of when, like, when did she decide to kidnap Fernanda,
Yeah.
and
And the hat, like, yeah.
it
I
felt
guess
a
I just,
little like the ending felt like it rushed a little bit to the ending.
yeah, yeah.
Now that you mention that, like, because we don't get that. We don't get that point where because she didn't feel that unhinged
She didn't feel that unhinged. That's
at
what I'm
that
trying
point
to
where
say.
she's reading that, um
Like she obviously had
that
mental
is it.
health struggles, but it's like
Hmm.
she wasn't homicidal, you know? Like
Yeah.
I wanted, how did we get there to homicidal? I wanted to I wanted to fully go know that. So, yeah. Did you think do you so the person sneaking into Clara's house, was that real? Or was Annalise just lying? Or was Annalise lying that she was the one who was doing that, not Fernanda?
No, I 100% think that Annalise was doing it. That Annalise was the one sneaking in and moving things around
Yeah.
to prove to Clara that what Annalise said was true, that Fernanda was going to do the same, or worse to her, that those other two girls that did in her
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
Although, now that you mention it, it could also be that just once that seed was planted in Clara's mind, that she suddenly perceived
Everything is,
normal everyday things as being
yes.
abnormal.
Yes.
So it could be either one.
Yeah. Well, and it occurred to me just now that it could be either one because I was just like, yeah, if you have a mind as fragile as Clara's, it does not take much to get her to go obsessive compulsive about something new. So if you introduce something into her psyche, she'll take it and run with it. So yeah, it's tragic, tragic,
Yeah.
tragic ending. And I was very pissed. And I don't know what becomes of Annalise, but I don't like her. So, um, let me see. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. Um, it- this two little bits. So there's a review written by Tobias Carroll. We've linked it for you guys. He writes about the ways in which Jawbone is a very modern story, and that much is obviously. But he says the behavior and rituals in the story, whether born of the internet or born from religious tradition, are ever present, and that's intentional. And then he he pulls a quote. Monica Ojeda said this in a 2022 interview. She says, in the Andean world in Latin America, a shaman can be playing chess on a Looney Tunes themed chessboard. This is something I've witnessed. She says, a while back, I actually saw a shaman making a limpia, a ritual, and he was mixing the herbs in a Coca-Cola can. That's how it works right now. And it's very interesting because it forges new legends, new oral stories, and transforms these symbols. So I guess just sort of referencing how you do have a lot of modern culture mashing up with these, you know, rituals and religious customs and ancient beliefs. You know, the way that Annalise invents her, what is it? Her white drag queen god
God, yeah.
something. I forget exactly what the phrasing is, but yeah, and just all the ways in which, like I remember one instance where she's talking about wanting to pray over Fernanda's teeth, like her teeth is like a rosary, like imagine a rosary made of teeth. So stuff like that. Anyway, yeah, I thought that was one of the few things we pulled that has an actual quote from the author herself. So I thought that was worth highlighting. Yeah. And I think that, like, I don't have, I think I mentioned all of the actual things that I took notes on reading the book. I thought Annalise turned out to be the true monster of the story.
Hmm.
And yeah, just what I already said. I wanted Clara's descent into madness to be fleshed out just a little bit more. Yeah, to your point earlier, your fears about this being a cannibalistic story. Once we learned that it was just, oh, she's just biting her. I was like, okay, well, I can deal with that. That's fine. I was like, is she eating parts of her friend? But no, she's just biting her.
Well, she might have been. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
the thing is like, okay, so she's biting you, but it's like she describes like biting into clavicle, ripping into her trachea, and like you could seriously you could kill her. Like if I imagine biting into the trachea as like a dog would, and it's just like you could severely mess up your friend, if not send her into the ER with something like that. So, all right. Well, closing thoughts. Anything else you want to mention? Anything else you want to say about it?
No, just
Anything you would suggest to people who like there are people who will enjoy this story a lot, but it's certainly not for everybody. So just, there were a lot of people in Goodreads who felt, not a lot of people, but I came up across this word multiple times on some of the Goodreads reviews. People who thought the writing was quote unquote pretentious. I didn't necessarily feel that it was pretentious.
mm,
I thought the essay chapter went a little
I
bit
could
longer
see
than it
that.
needed to, but I didn't necessarily feel it was pretentious writing at all.
I mean, I
As a
can
matter,
see that, and
I thought it was very beautiful writing.
I think for me personally, because I did kind of feel that way also at points throughout the book, it felt like like the author had like a thesaurus next to her, and she was always just like, okay, what's the biggest fanciest word that I can choose to write this thought, because to the point where it didn't always feel natural to me. It's like, okay, we're in this teenager's thoughts. Teenagers wouldn't think this way. They wouldn't, not in this verbiage.
Mm,
So it's like in that way, it didn't feel organic and natural. I could feel the author in the story.
okay.
I could envision the author just like, let's say, okay, here's my thesaurus. What's the fanciest $10 word I can choose to put in here? And so
Well,
I
I'm
think
sure,
that's
to be fair,
where,
I'm sure she doesn't need a thesaurus. She's a highly educated, award-winning writer, so I'm sure she has those words at her disposal. But yeah, I not the verbiage that a teen would use. It's definitely the author's voice coming
yeah.
through. Yeah,
And so I think that's where the pretentious comments come from, is this, it didn't,
yeah, um,
felt like
yeah.
maybe sometimes she was trying too hard to be.
So there is a review from what's the word I'm looking for, a I guess well-known reviewer, Nina the Wandering Reader. I do follow her on Instagram, but I'll just read this little snippet from her review that she left for this book in March of 2022. She said, "But if you are a reader who loves their horror novels to unnerve them while simultaneously having the senses bombarded with symbolic imagery and writing that is both beautiful and vicious, this might be for you." And, again, it's all subjective. It's all, there are some people who are going to look at the writing and not feel any of that. But, this is how she was interpreted the writing, and she enjoyed the book a lot. And I didn't not enjoy the book, but I don't think I would read it again. But I enjoyed parts of it. I definitely enjoyed parts of it. And I would definitely read this author again. Just probably not this book, but
Not if it has teenagers in it. I'm not reading it.
yeah.
Well, now that you mention Now I'm super disappointed that your initial theory didn't pan out, that we didn't discover that Annalise and Fernanda were the same person.
It
That would have
could
been that
that
would have
could have
been
been a cool
cool.
story, but maybe that would
That
have
would
been
have been
too
cool.
predictable, you know? Like, I was thinking
I
about that, I
didn't
was
think
like,
that. I wasn't thinking that at
well,
all.
that's because
That
you
would
don't
have
have Fight Club context. Like, I
that would
had,
have come as a
because
shock.
if this book is so hung up on, well, not hung up's the wrong phrase, but because this book incorporates so much pop culture references, I was like, well, Fight Club, that would definitely be quite the reference. But then I was
But it
like,
had
well,
more
maybe that'd be too predictable.
it had more horror pulp culture references, not
Yeah.
necessarily a lot of mainstream. I don't know. I didn't watch Fight Club. It didn't seem to me like it would be horror, was it?
Um, I mean, no, it's like graphic thriller. It's not horror, but it's like graphic thriller. But I mean, not every reference in the book is all about horror. Some of it's like freaking just different different pop culture crap. Um, I forget when like the where this story takes place. Is it in the 90s? Did I read
I don't
something
actually know.
that made me
And
think it was the 90s?
was it set in Ecuador? I don't even
I think so. I think that part, yes, because like um there's reference to like they live in the place of volcanoes. They live in it's somewhere.
I don't know anything about Ecuador.
It's some I want to say it's I forget where the story takes place. But I do know that like it takes place where there's volcanoes. So, cuz she's on a mountain that has a volcano or near a volcano. Because I thought, oh, is a volcano about to erupt? And Clara knows that. And so that's how they're going to die. They're going to die by maybe she throws her in the volcano. I think that's sort of like what was unsettling too, is like we don't know ultimately, we know what's going to happen to Fernanda, but we don't know exactly what's going to happen to her. And the not knowing drives me crazy because you just imagine any number of things, any number of torturous ways that Clara could choose to kill herself and this girl. So anyway, all right. Well, that's it for this book. um Interesting read, really gifted writer, and dark and creepy story, but not overly horrific. If you pick this book up, I think you'll be able to get through it just fine. If you got through Extended Stay with us, then you can get through this book. And I don't know whether or not this book will be for you remains to be seen, but it's certainly worth taking a look at if you do enjoy stories of young people. If you don't enjoy stories of young people like Veronica, then you're not going to enjoy this book regardless. So, okay, well, I think that's it. Generally, we don't do follow-up stuff or any other stuff in the closing segment of our book club episodes. We'd like to give it all to book club. We don't currently have a book picked out for our fall read, which would be that episode will be coming sometime in October. So we have a lot of time before we pick out a book. But if you're a member of our Patreon, you can drop us recommendations on what you think we should pick up next as a group. And we'll have that announced in the days to come, probably via social media. So if you don't follow us on socials, we are at Don't Watch at Night Pod everywhere. So find us there. Pew, 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 pew. Veronica's doing pew, pew, pew.
I don't know why, but
is there anything else you wanted to mention, Ron? Anything before we head out?
You know what I'm finding? Because okay, full disclosure, I've always enjoyed watching scary movies, but I've never read horror. I would read the occasional Stephen King book here and there, but like as a genre, a book genre, a writing genre, I've never really read horror, anything in the horror genre, until this podcast. And what I'm finding is, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, my usual go-tos for reading is mystery, science fiction, and fantasy. And in all three of those genres, the thing that they all share in common is that the plot, the story, it's driving towards something. There's going to be an ending, and it's usually going to be a positive ending. It might be bittersweet. There's definitely in fantasy lots of tragedy along the way. Beloved characters die, all that stuff. But generally, good wins. and I like that, and I don't find that in this genre, in the horror genre.
No.
There's a
Nor
lot
should nor
of
should nor would I think that the expectation would be that you would. I
no, but I
that's
think that
part
all
of what's
I think
yeah.
that also affects my ultimate, because I wouldn't say I've loved any of the books that we've read. Some I've outright just, ugh, I would never read that again, and others I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay, it was okay, um, but I haven't loved any of them, and I think it relates to that I'm not getting
Closure?
even that. Yeah, I'm not getting what are satisfying endings to me, because I feel like, especially now in the climate of the world that we live in, when it just seems like the bad people always come out on top and the bad people wins, and
Mhm.
that I want to look to my reading to, I don't want to get that in my reading too. um
Mhm.
so I think that's also definitely, well, I don't think, I know that colors my, so just, I'm just putting that out there so that people out there take my opinions with that grain of salt, of knowing that, because I certainly don't want to take away from anyone who does love reading horror, because there are people, our friend Perla, you know,
I
loves
like reading
reading
horror.
loves reading horror.
It's so funny because like what you're describing in terms of like these endings that are often unsettling precisely because they're so open-ended or dark. I tend to actually like that. So for me, so much of the horror stories that I've read are all about like it really is just capturing either a moment in time, an experience, or a particular story, and it's just like sometimes it's just like all you get is that window, and that's it, and and then that's the end. And so like the ending of Extended Stay is sort of a perfect example of that. It's like we don't know what happens past the end of that book. It just that's it. That's the story we get, and that's it. And then I like that. But sometimes, a lot of times, I like that. In this particular story, I did not like that because I really wanted justice for Fernanda, and it didn't happen.
Mhm.
So, yeah. But I mean, I see what you're saying, and that is a difference in this particular genre so far that we've read with some books. With some books that have been mashups, horror like horror romance or something like that, horror sci-fi, whatever. It's a little bit different. We do get a little bit more of like closure.
Yeah, I mean, what was that book? Oh, the Vampires of was it Vampires of El Norte? I mean,
Mhm.
that had a,
It had
you
an ending.
know, it had an ending, and the main characters live, so
Actually,
and
it was an HEA, wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah, so definitely, not every book I dislike, or that wasn't one of my favorite books for other reasons,
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
related to the ending. That was, um, but yeah,
But
so
yeah,
I'm just putting that out there, as we move forward. That
yeah. No, it's worth knowing, and it's also I think it's important to
that's the baggage I'm bringing to
no,
when
I
I'm
get
reading
it,
these
and
books.
and I get it, and actually, I was thinking our next book maybe we should go somewhere in a different vein just to take a break from because I think that's part of what my issue was at the start of this and why I had such a hard time getting into this book when I talked about having like mental fatigue. Um, maybe we just need to take a break from reading horror stories that take us down that play mental head games with us and just try to do something that's more like I'm going to throw this
Like
book
a
out there
horror
because
comedy, like a
well
horror,
if
or
if we can find one that'd be awesome but
can
like
you?
this isn't a Latin writer but the Midnight Assassin which isn't it's a nonfiction book. It's based off of like what was said thought to be like the first serial killer here in Texas. And so it's like a crime book. Maybe we read one of those. Like I would be fine reading stuff like that, I guess, because it's not quite the mental game that books like these are. And I'm mentally exhausted right now, as you said, because of everything going on in the world right now. So maybe we need one of those. If anybody has a recommendation
Or
for
something, in the horror genre that's as lighthearted as you can be in the horror genre. Something that's just a little more maybe spoofy, or
I think it's why
just,
it's a good thing that we space out our book club episodes
yeah,
so
definitely.
much because if we were reading like this every single month, it might be too much for us. So And I do think you have to be able to pick up other books and do some self-care. So, yeah. All right, friends. Well, we will for sure announce our next book club pick over social and again on the show. Veronica, real quick, before we go, our next episode will be a film one. And you know what I was noticing, Ron? I think Summer Camp, the movie that I've been trying to find us for forever, I think that's finally available over on Amazon Prime. Summer Camp, which came out in 2015. Director is Alberto Marini. And I think it's like a combination of English, Spanish, but it's 4 American, as my understanding, it's a Spanish film. But 4 American counselors at a European summer camp must deal with the outbreak of a rage-inducing plague that starts in the animals. It's called Summer Camp, so that's why I was like, this would be such a great summer movie.
Where is it available?
I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. Yeah. So I think that should be our next movie.
Okay.
Just because, like, you got to watch it in summer, and every other summer that I've tried to find it, it's not been available, even to rent on like Apple Plus. So to see it come up on Amazon Prime, I was like, we got to watch it. Okay, so let's make that one the next one. I think you might enjoy it. It sounds, just based off of that little blurb, it sounds like maybe it could be kind of something viral, something zombie-esque, perhaps. Who knows? So maybe that'll be fun. And so that'll be our next movie for our next film episode. And that's it. You got anything else?
No, that is it.
All right, friends. Well, thank you so much for watching, if you're part of our Patreon. And thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Don't Watch at Night is a Nest production hosted by me, Veronica, and Valerie. Editing by Valerie. Music by Omar Chakor. Production support for this episode provided by Lorenzo Villarreal and Alex Street. Listen to new episodes of Don't Watch at Night every other Monday, and don't forget to give us a rate and review. It's the best way to help us grow.